Hi! I know it's been a while since I uploaded a video, but here I am again, and I'm back with a charm video. This video isn't a tutorial, it's more like how I make my charms at home, and me wanting to show you the process of how I do it. The materials that you're going to need when working with shrink inks are permanent markers, color pencils, acrylic paint pens, a pair of scissors, some tape, and the image that you'd like to turn into a key charm. And the acrylic paint pens are actually optional. If you don't have that available, like I said, color pencils will work perfectly fine. I just feel like using acrylic paint pens are a lot less time consuming and a lot easier to use. And then to make these key charms, I'm using shrink ink, which is a plastic material. Most plastic takeaway containers are made out of the same plastic, and I'll include a link to the one that I'm using in this video. I'm actually using two different kinds. I'm using a clear kind and I am using a frosted kind. For the first character that you're seeing me make for my charm, it's actually Nezuko from Demon Slayer. I'm actually a really big fan of that franchise and series. With shrink ink, you can also use color pencils or permanent markers. The reason why I'm using acrylic paint markers and not color pencils is just that I feel like it's a lot easier to color the pieces in, and you'll notice that shrink inks actually come with a textured side. I feel like acrylic paint sticks better and easier to that texture than it would be with color pencils. I feel like it takes a lot longer to color it in with the color pencils. So in this case, I decided to print the image of Nezuko instead of hand drawing it. I felt like it would be a lot easier and more accessible to show this method of creating shrink charms. And the reason why is because not everyone is good at drawing and not everyone is good at copying images that they like. So it's easier if you can just print out the image that you'd like to turn into a key charm and just trace over it. And shrink ink is really easy to trace with since it's a clear surface. I really love kawaii things, like really cute things, so I thought that I could make a lot of kawaii key charms at home and kind of turned it into a little series. So I just took pictures that I liked, I just googled them, I printed them, and I decided to use them for my key charms. And then also, if you buy a shrink plastic that doesn't have a rough side, you can always just create a rough side with a nail file, or you can get sandpaper and sand it down to create texture so that you can get your paint pens or your color pencils to stick to your shrink ink. And then, of course, you can begin tracing. And once you're satisfied with how the image looks and how the colors look, you can just pop it into the oven until it shrinks, and just make sure that it's completely flat, and don't try to grab it out of the oven with your hands. I made that mistake and burnt my finger. So this next character's name is Kao Nashi, or No Face, and he is from Spirited Away. In the movie, he represents a spirit of gluttony, and for some reason I really like him. I loved how he just followed Chihiro around throughout the entire movie, and because of her act of kindness of bringing him into the bathhouse, she just decided to, I guess, kind of be a good friend and return the favor and sort of become like a guardian spirit to her throughout the movie. So you're kind of seeing me working through No Face. I had already created the outline, colored him in, and started cutting out the silhouette. And the next character that I'm going to be working on is actually My Melody. She is a Sanrio character. I am absolutely in love with Sanrio, and if you're not familiar with Sanrio, it is the, I guess you'd say, the franchise or the company that created Hello Kitty. Sanrio created Hello Kitty, My Melody, Kuromi, Guretama, Pom Pom Puri, and the Little Twin Stars. They are really kawaii and really famous in Japan. And I really like my melody. I like the accents that they always use, which is the pink, the white, and how cute she is. Just the overall like kawaii sweetness that is enveloped in this character and this character's personality. So whenever I think of like Sanrio, she's one of the first characters that kind of pops up into my mind, and I think she's absolutely adorable. And then just focusing on the process once again, once you size up the shrink tank to the size of the image that you want to copy or trace, create the outline, color in the image. Once you're satisfied with like the layers of color that is on that image, you can continue and you pop these suckers into the not into the microwave, you pop these suckers into the oven, and I think it has to be about like 350 degrees, and I think it takes about like a minute or 2 minutes, and you'll start to see the plastic shrink and it'll curl. Don't take it out until it's completely flattened out. Once again, if it's still curled, that means that it's probably not hot enough and you need to heat up your oven a little bit more. And once you notice that your plastic has flattened out completely, you can go ahead and pull it out of the oven. If you'd like it to become even flatter, you can actually, while it's still nice and warm, lay something heavy but flat on top of that surface to make it as flat as you can possibly get it. For me, I don't really have that problem as soon as I pop them out of the oven, because I leave them in long enough to straighten out. They're completely flat and I love the way that they come out. Right now, what you're looking at is actually the way that they look once they come out of the oven. They went from being really big to being these medium-sized charms. They're not exactly the smallest charms. And another thing, if you don't really like how the colors came out, you can always give them a really quick touch up, which is what I'm doing. I touched them up and let them dry a little bit before I put on resin. In this case, I'm using a UV resin, so once I'm done applying the resin, I pop them underneath a UV light for about a minute. Sometimes I'll do it for 2 minutes just to make sure that they're completely dry before I add anything else onto them. In this process, you can actually, if you'd like to add glitter to your UV resin or add any kind of color, you can. But for these charms, I'm not adding anything special. I'm just putting that UV resin on top of them, making sure that there are no air bubbles. Another really neat trick that you can use to kind of remove air bubbles from UV resin is by taking a lighter to it. That heat will kind of bring the bubbles to the surface and then pop them. It doesn't always work 100%, but it makes it a lot easier and a lot better. And then I'm just going to follow this process for all 3 of my charms, putting UV resin, smoothing it out, using a lighter to pop all of the air bubbles, or as many as I can get out, and then popping them underneath the UV light for 2 minutes or so. And then you guys can add anything to your keychains or charms that you like. In this case, like I said, I wanted them to be keychains, so I added a chain that I can attach to my car keys or my house keys, and a little tassel. I thought that the tassel kind of accentuated the charm. I did that for all 3 of my charms, and I'm going to be using them. And I hope that you liked and enjoyed this video. If there's any keychains that you'd like to see me make, any specific character, anime character, movie character, cartoon character, I will definitely give it a try. Just comment it below. Thank you so much for watching my video. Bye!